Welcome to Cult and Classic.
Welcome, friends and fiends of the pod, to a new episode of Cult and Classic Films podcast. If you're listening to this in the future, there's a lot of new episodes, even ones from the past. Think about that if you're high. Okay, so it is just me, your host today, film critic and comedian Nate Wyckoff, but I was too excited to wait for anyone else because today I'm going to tell you about this fantastic new film by one of my favorite filmmakers, Tommy Wiseau. Yes, Tommy Wiseau, who made The Room, considered the most watchable, most bad movie of modern times. It is The Room. If you have not seen it, first off, just go watch it. Go to a live screening. It's even more enjoyable. But also, it is somehow otherworldly. If you've seen the movie enough, like I have, The Room is one of those experiences where you can endlessly try and determine why certain things were done, and you never fully have an answer that you're convinced is 100% correct. And I think in that way, it's like a great, um, you know, religious conundrum or something that is, a UFO sighting that someone purports to be true, but there's no proof, but it's so convincing. That is a high level. I admit that is a high level view of The Room. Well, I have been very excited waiting for Tommy Wiseau's new film. It is technically, I guess you would call it his third film. He did have a film in the middle there, also with friend and co-star of The Room, Greg Sestero. Sorry, I am stuttering today, but it's because I'm so excited. Uh, yes, Big Shark. So great. I can't even wait to the end to tell you about how I feel about this movie. It's great. So I was lucky enough to see a screening here in Palm Springs. It is not widely available to stream or anything like that. So it is screening around the country. Sometimes Tommy himself will be there. Sometimes Greg Sestero will be there, which is always a good time. I was lucky enough to see it with Greg. And here's some interesting things. If you followed Tommy Wiseau's filmic adventures thus far, you will know that in 2019, he released a trailer for a movie titled Big Shark that featured both he himself as well as Isaiah Laborde. I'm probably butchering your name, Isaiah. I'm sorry about that. Please let me know how to say it properly and come on the pod and we'll have a good talk. So, the trailer was starring Tommy Wiseau, Isaiah Laborde, and Greg Sestero. Well, as soon as it went live, people started reaching out to Greg asking what the movie was, how's it going, is it fully shot? To which Greg was like, "There is no movie. Here's the story about the trailer." Tommy grabbed Greg and in the car out to a location where they filmed the trailer, which I urge you to go see. Even if you've seen the movie, see the trailer. Where on the way, Greg wrote a scene that they filmed and used as the trailer. Now, the movie, like the trailer, features three friends who are firefighters, and they are tasked with saving New Orleans, where they live, from a big shark. Yes, a giant shark. That is the plot. I'm not, if you were to ask me why firefighters, it seems sort of the antithesis, water to fire, doesn't seem to gel, but that is the case. So think Backdraft with Deep Blue Sea, except Deep Blue Sea is now on the streets of New Orleans instead of, on a boat in the water where sharks are. Okay. So the trailer was filmed, and Greg kept fielding calls from places trying to figure out what this movie was, and he's like, "There is no movie." Well, Tommy Wiseau went forward and did film the movie, and Greg Sestero is not in it, though he is in the original trailer. He is also, I believe, he helped some with the story. And yeah, so this film, otherwise directed by Tommy Wiseau, written by Tommy Wiseau, and is starring, among a few other people, Tommy Wiseau. What makes Big Shark so great? First off, you'll see it listed as being 2019, 2020, 2023, 2024. I'm going to pull 2024 because 2023, I believe in Marchish, is when it was said that Tommy was actually had the movie in the can, but I don't believe any actual public screening started until 2024. Could be wrong on that. Feel free to correct me, but so I call it a 2024 film. 2023, I guess, would be acceptable as well. It just goes all the way back to 2019 because that's when the original trailer came out that does not feature footage of the film. That said, the movie does follow the same plot as the trailer. We have the three leads, Isaiah Laborde, Tommy Wiseau, excuse me. And we have people may remember him or recognize his name from who have listened to this podcast for a long time and follow the flicks we talk about. Mark Valeriano plays Georgie, which was the character that Greg Sestero played in the trailer. This is an interesting one because Mark Valeriano was in a film we really liked, The Influencer. And I urge you guys to check that out. It's a great movie, really nice director, great people, just a good flick. One of those wonderful surprise independent movies. But Mark Valeriano was in that. In this film, it's very confusing, his role in this because he's one of the three friends and he is absent for almost the entire movie. He just comes and goes. He's got a couple of scenes. And then this is not a spoiler. I don't think you can really be spoiled in this movie. It's just scene to scene. The magic is in the actual scene, not the plot. If you could actually follow the plot. Okay. So Georgie gets eaten. He was not apparently, I have it from inside sources, that he was not supposed to be eaten. In the original script, that was not the case. But Tommy Wiseau was not happy with Valeriano's performance, or I don't know if they just didn't click personally. I'm not sure what the case was. But so Mark was killed, and he's essentially not in the movie. He's referred to a couple of times, but that is it. I'm not even sure that the footage of him getting eaten was intended to be that footage. It's kind of a great shot. The shark itself is actually pretty decent CGI. Now, whether or not it is set to match the characters on the screen, 50-50. It's definitely better than many of the Bad Shark movie 3D I've seen, so I'll toss that up there as a win. But here's something really special about Big Shark. The room is a sort of rebel without a cause-ish, angsty, uh, scream into the void that is our world, that things aren't fair, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Okay. And you cannot control other people or trust other people. It's a bleak film, which is interesting because it's also a very, very funny, watchable film. This movie is supposed to be fun. And the reason I buy into it is one, I don't it's much easier to watch than The Room because there are action things happening, even if they make no sense or they happen off screen. There's something to carry you through each scene. Uh, Also, this is important. We talked about this on the pod when it came to Death Rider in the House of Vampires, which is the I believe still not on physical media. Um, uh, uh, Glenn Danzig film, his follow-up to Verotica, which we have reviewed twice on this podcast. I do, in that film, we talked about how when Danzig was on screen, which wasn't a whole lot, but he was laughing. He looked like he was having a good time. That's Tommy in this movie. There's a few bits where Tommy looks like he's just like, I am ready to go home or to my hotel and call it a day. But he also seems to be having a lot of fun with his co-stars, and that's awesome. There's something so wholesome and engaging about people who actually have some chemistry together. And so our main character, as they said, main characters is Isaiah, Tommy, and sort of Mark Valeriano's character. So it's Tim, Isaiah, Patrick is Tommy Wiseau, and Mark Valeriano is Georgie. Well, as I said, Georgie is sort of a non-entity, but we also have Erica Mary Gilheeney as Charlotte, and Ashton Courtney Lee or Ashton Lee as Sophia. I want to give everybody did a fine job, but here's the thing that's interesting. In The Room, people did not know Tommy Wiseau. He was not famous yet for the room. Obviously, it hadn't been finished, and people were unsure how to treat the film, both in it and when watching it. But everybody here has clearly seen the room, or they are aware of the room at the very least. They know what they're getting into, and better than that, they they eat it up. They are living for being in this movie. And I wonder if that's why, again, speculation, why Mark Valeriano just wasn't jiving. He just wasn't feeling the connection with Tommy and the people in there, because Isaiah, Laborte, and Tommy are they have a legitimately heartfelt, honest scene post Georgie's being eaten that is if you saw it in a trailer for a different movie, it would work. It's a legitimately good scene. It is shockingly natural, feels real. They are sort of I don't remember if they're actually drunk or not. They do drink a lot, but a drunken sort of made up song soliloquy about their lost friend Georgie. It's just a great moment. And I want to give, so Isaiah really eats it up. He chews the scenery. He brings energy to the scene. He brings Tommy's energy up. And then my favorite, my favorite cast member in this film is Ashton Leigh. She plays Sophia, who is Tommy's girlfriend in this, and she is phenomenal. She plays this film. If you're watching the video, my split screen just moved. And if you're asking why I need a split screen, mind your own business. Ashton Leigh is just really excellent in this film. She's been a model. She has I don't know if I've seen her in anything before, but she has done a lot of work, TV movies, film. So I'm sure I have at some point. But she is very good in this movie. She is exactly like those, and I live here in Palm Springs where there's a lot of retirees. She plays one of those caring wives who's about 40 to 50 years younger than their husband. I'm not saying that is the age difference. What I'm saying is she plays that role where she's sort of more of a caretaker, a caring caretaker, than what you would think of as like teen loves. And it brings the sweetness to the bit, but it just makes sense with Tommy's portrayal of his character on screen. And they're fighting back and forth. She's occasionally yelling. It's a very bipolar moments. But she brings it. Just like Isaiah, they really put their all into this movie, and it is just delightful. I would cast them in a flick, hands down, no questions asked, for any role that I could possibly fit them into. They do not treat the movie as though it's something less than. And what's great about that, it makes me think of Paul Rudd, because um, uh, Benny Chan, beloved Hong Kong director of action movies, action comedies, etc., just he's worked with American actors or Americans who were willing to act in some of his films. And in Gen X Cops, he is it Gen Y Cops? I think it's Gen X Cops, which is one of my favorite flicks. We are definitely going to talk about it on this pod in the future. But Paul Rudd comes in at the end as an American agent of some kind. And Benny Chan said it was fantastic, and he was the utmost professional person because he did not treat us as though this was beneath him. And it's sad that that is how many actors seem to treat foreign productions or low budget productions or just goofy, schlocky genre productions. But so, like Paul Rudd, I am all there for Ashton Courtney Leigh. It just killed it. New favorite. 100% on board. You might, if you do recognize her, I would think it would be from The Winchesters. She has a role in one episode of that from a couple years ago, but she also has a lot of side parts, bigger than bit roles, but a lot of those too in recognizable films. She plays a reporter in Lisa Frankenstein. She was in the film Purgatory Station as Linda, so from last year. So you will definitely, you know, find her out and about. But I think she deserves more leads, and I am excited to have found out about her. So Big Shark is hilarious. It also feels at times like it is a an Alzheimer's PSA because scene after scene repeats the same information, totally different scene, often different locations, and they will replay the information that has been shared in the last one as though it is brand new information. It is wild. And I think it's almost like it drives, sort of meant to drive the audience a little insane. Like, are we really here? Is this happening? Am I psychic? Did I predict this? Is that why it feels familiar? Because also Tommy Wiseau usually wears gloves in the scenes and he's constantly changing them. Like really, like not changing them on camera, but every time he's in a scene, there's a strong chance he will be in a different pair of colored gloves. I'm looking it up online, and people said it's red, blue, yellow, and black. Uh, they're different. It is wow. Also, interesting fact: all of the characters play the men especially play as though they are cowboys, and this is in New Orleans. I don't know how. I've been to New Orleans several times, and I did not see a single cowboy. But there are cowboy hats, cowboy boot type setups, gingham, all up and down this movie. So that was an interesting choice. Cowboy firefighters. They fight a fire in the beginning. They go to rescue some kids. I believe the film says there's three kids, but then there's only two children. It's never addressed. There are just it doesn't matter. You just go with it, scene to scene. Interestingly enough, as well, there's a character named Tony who shows up a couple of times in a couple of different characters, I think. Or if it is the same character, then that character has a lot of jobs. He's a boxer in it, and also, I believe, a cook or a restaurant owner. And the interesting thing about this character is that it's played by Raul Phoenix. Now, I'm not going to go into the Tommy Wiseau, Raul Phoenix uh, name rabbit hole here. But if you were unfamiliar with the connection between Tommy Wiseau and Raul Phoenix, go on some Google deep dives here because it is a fascinating, amazing story in there. So I'm not sure if this actor, but Tony really is named Raul Phoenix. I have a feeling not. But again, I don't know. I do not know, and I urge everyone to become a detective and help me figure it out. But it's great. So, do I recommend Big Shark? Absolutely. I was very disappointed when I saw the screening because it was a double feature and the room was after it that so few people showed up for Big Shark. And when I looked at the advertising elements, I realized I think a lot of people did not know that Big Shark was Tommy's new movie. So they went to the room because that's what they wanted to see, and they just didn't know why Big Shark was playing before it. It seems crazy, but I honestly think that is the case because this is a great bad movie. I say bad, not in the way that I am sort of kicking dirt at this film. I say it as in it is one of those films that it is made about a big shark. And let me tell you something. I did not even touch on how the shark traverses the streets of New Orleans. The shark slides like like a puppy running on linoleum. Just huge shark, supposed to be 35 feet, I think they say. Huge shark. It looks bigger actually in some of the shots. Just slides straight through crosswalks and through intersections, and just water just erupts down the road, and then this massive shark just slides by completely with reckless abandon, in no control of where it's going. How it does this, how it gets from the water to this state of sort of slip and sliding around the city is never clear, and I don't care. I also we see them find big shark eggs that I'm not sure. I think we need a biology class to help us figure out if that is in any way accurate. I thought sharks gave live birth, but I am not a biologist, nor a marine biologist, nor a shark studier man, although I do love sharks. So who knows? I don't. Feel free to write in, send hate mail to Tad Mastrioni at info@cultandclassicfilms.com. But go see Big Shark. If you get the chance, I know sometimes we're like, well, we know the room. It's really bad. Some people actually legitimately don't like seeing it. I think it's a great time. It's fun. It's got its own Rocky Horror setup now. Um, Also, if you go to one of these screenings, you have a strong chance of meeting either Tommy or Greg Sestero or somebody else involved with these films, which is worth it. There's also Tommy and Greg. Tommy gets some great merch together, whether it's underwear from his second feature, Best Friends, or I have a beautiful silver spoon signed by Greg, which again, if you watch The Room, you'll kind of get that reference. But awesome stuff. Go see it. Big Shark it deserves to be a new cult, insane party watch movie. It is just bananas. And if you get a chance to see it on the big screen, please do, because the chances to see this kind of cultural phenomenon flick on the big screen it's rare. It really is rare. And it deserves to be up there with The Room. I think the average person will have more fun with this movie than they did The Room. But that's not diminishing The Room. It's elevating Big Shark. Give it a watch. Wait if it's coming to your town or in your area. Make the drive if you can. If not, it will be coming out on streaming, I'm sure, eventually, and probably, I'm sure, physical as well. Make sure you watch it. Sure you distribute it. Share this episode. It'll help other people learn about Big Shark too, because I want it to do well, and I think we all, as Tommy Wiseau fans, do. Uh, yeah, so go ahead, do that, and please subscribe. You can donate. You can do all sorts of things for us here at cultandclassicfilms.com. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/cultandclassicfilms to pay small amounts of money every month to get every one of our film releases on Blu-ray and on collector's edition Blu-ray uh, every time they come out, which is usually once every 2 months. Right now, our most recent one is Dunwich Journals, which is a Lovecraft anthology with a framing story directed and produced by yours truly, and excellent, excellent Lovecraftian shorts by Eric Wofford, who we know here as the maker of Bigfoot's Bride, and Sebastian Godin, or Godin. I'm just butchering names today, but sorry, Seb. But thank you so much for bringing your film to us, which is the forthcoming collector's edition Blu-ray release of Blood Rites of the Vampire. There's so many great films you can get from us, and money goes to the filmmakers for every unit sold. Of course, we have Adam Wright Thorne and Mark Mackner, and we've got great new releases lined up for the rest of this year. So check that out. Follow us on Instagram at Cult and Classic Films. Go to cultandclassicfilms.com where you can listen or watch all of our episodes. You can also join our mailing list to get information on new episodes, new film releases, our releases, Patreon updates, and our live events, which are going on in the Palm Springs area and may in the future come to your town if you are not in Palm Springs. We just did a screening of 1979's film Phantasm by Don Coscarelli, and it was a delight. And we've got some really excellent stuff coming up, releases from Deaf Crocodile and stuff that has appeared on screenings from AGFA, all sorts of great things. All right. Check us out. Follow us. Go ahead. You can buy our movies without subscribing from cultandclassicfilms.com. Remember, you're giving money to filmmakers, you're giving money to artists, and I am done rambling. Usually I can see the faces of my guests, and when they start to go super glassy, I know that I've been rambling, but you don't have that benefit. You get the unfiltered Nate Wyckoff experience. Thank you so much. We will catch you next week on a new episode of Cult and Classic Films podcast. Have a great week.